watching Local News 8 at 10. Local people, local news.
Good evening. The nationwide search for a murder suspect is in full swing right now. This evening, the Bonneville County Sheriff's Office confirms to Local News 8 that calls have come in saying Jeremy White has been spotted in Idaho Falls. There is an active warrant for White tonight. The Bonneville County Sheriff's Office says he is the man who killed his partner, Kristen Caldwell, just over a week ago. Caldwell was found buried in the basement of her home 1 week ago yesterday. White and Caldwell have been together for 10 years. Today, the Bonneville County Sheriff's Office said they have received several tips about White being in our area. They do not believe he is, though. White is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. If you know where he is, you are asked to call 911. Our other big story tonight, the Trump transition. Popular in Idaho and Utah, the man who ran for president in 2012 and lost could soon find himself in the White House anyways. Today, Mitt Romney, a member of the LDS Church, met with President-elect Donald Trump, and rumor has it, Romney is a top contender for the Secretary of State job. Now at 10, Local News 8's Febin Kasahun is here now with what was discussed between these two former foes. Febin?
Chris, President-elect Trump and Romney met at the Trump National Gold Club for about 90 minutes, and it was described as great.
Mr. President-elect, are you looking forward to your meetings today?
President-elect Donald Trump and his vice president arrived at the Trump National Golf in Bedminster, New Jersey Saturday to sit down with a list of cabinet prospects. Probably the day's most anticipating meeting is with one of Trump's harshest critics, former Massachusetts governor and devout Mormon Mitt Romney.
We had a far-reaching conversation with regards to the various theaters in the world where there are interests of the United States of real significance. We discussed those areas and exchanged our views on those topics.
The meeting with Romney may come as a surprise to many, considering their contentious relationship throughout the election.
Here's what I know. Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud.
But here's a disloyal guy. See, he's an elitist.
His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University.
The guy's a stone-cold loser.
Trump transition spokesperson Jason Miller says the meeting wasn't focused on their differences, but rather the future of our nation.
The president-elect wants the best and the brightest and the people who can offer ideas and suggestions on how to move this country forward and to implement his vision. And so he's going to meet with people who supported him, people who didn't support him, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. But most of all, these conversations start off as just that, a conversation to discuss people's ideas and thoughts.
Also scheduled to meet with the president-elect this weekend, Democrat Michelle Rhee, former chancellor of the D.C. Public Schools for Education Secretary, retired General James Mattis for Defense Chief, and despite being removed as head of the transition team, Trump will also sit down with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Now, Romney was popular in Idaho during the 2012 election, winning the state against President Obama by a landslide. Eastern Idaho billionaire Frank Vandersloot served as a financial chair for Romney's campaign in 2008 and 2012. Chris, following the meeting, Trump flashed a thumbs up and said it went great.
Great. Thanks so much, Febin. And before his meeting with Romney, the president-elect using Twitter to take aim at some Broadway actors and calling on them to apologize. President-elect Trump was upset over an incident at the Broadway musical attended by Vice President-elect Mike Pence. At the end of the show, the cast asking Pence to protect all Americans and uphold American values. Donald Trump was not a fan. The president-elect tweeting that the cast harassed Pence. Brandon Dixon delivered the speech.
I'm so glad that he stayed, because he stayed and he listened, and I truly appreciate him doing that.
Meantime, protests against the president-elect also continue with several big demonstrations in Washington, D.C. and New York. More grassroots campaigns are springing up nationwide, including right here in Idaho, trying to persuade Electoral College members to defect and deny President-elect Donald Trump the 270 votes needed to win the presidency. Historically, the Electoral College has never denied the presidency to the clear Election Day winner. Activists have been sharing petitions online and using social media. On Election Day, Trump won 209 electoral votes, Clinton won 232. One of the concerns many people have about President-elect Trump is his immigration policy and his plan to deport millions. Tonight, there is a push to make Idaho Falls a sanctuary city, protecting undocumented workers from deportation under President-elect Donald Trump's immigration plan. Nearly 5% of Idaho's workforce is made up of undocumented workers. According to the American Immigration Council, a Change.org petition wants Idaho Falls' Mayor Rebecca Casper to make Idaho Falls a city of protection by protecting illegal aliens solely for violating federal immigration laws. There are about 50,000 undocumented immigrants in the Gem State. The council says the state would lose about $400 million in economic activity if these workers are deported. So if Idaho Falls were to become a sanctuary city, it could mean the loss of federal funds. Back in August, Trump said if a community were to become a safe haven for undocumented workers, he would cut off federal funds. So here's an example. If New York remains a sanctuary city, because it currently is, it could lose $10.4 billion in federal funds. Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is also a sanctuary city, could be out $6 million. There's no word on how much Idaho Falls could lose if these changes were to happen. Time to talk weather now, and the big question that everybody wants to know, Chris Nessman, is when is the snow going to come?
Soon. I mean, we already got a little bit. What we're going to see is a series of storms slide through. None of them are particularly strong, but they are going to be bringing rain and snow. This is Farm Bureau Sky Camp Hotel. These are Idaho Falls graphics. A little bit of a mix-up there, but that is what we're seeing. Few scattered snow flurries, not a whole lot, and tonight it's going to be mostly calm. There is a chance of a shower in the Central Mountains. It's minimum, but tomorrow, not quite as minimum, and definitely Monday is going to be very, very wet. And we'll have more on that storm and a series of other storms following it soon.
It's good for the skiers. Thanks, Chris. So ski season is upon us, even though there is no snow, and many resorts have opened up around the region. The Grand Targhee Resort opening day, which was supposed to be today, is still delayed, but ski shops aren't too concerned about losing business. We talked to the Habitat in Driggs, a ski shop about 15 minutes away from Grand Targhee Resort. The store manager said the store hasn't been too worried about the delayed date affecting businesses. In fact, it's something they take into consideration when prepping the rest of the store.
We changed the entire inventory out with merchandising, staffing, training, clinics, and preparing for the upcoming season with anticipating a lot of snow, a lot of traffic, and a lot of happy faces.
Ski shops can usually guarantee busy foot traffic this coming weekend, which is Thanksgiving weekend. The store manager also told us today that the Habitat in Driggs is one of the biggest dealers for split snowboards in the Northern Rockies. The opening date for Grand Targhee Resort is still unknown. And by the way, the Outdoor Industry Association says low snowfall hit Oregon resorts the hardest last year. They saw a 31% drop in skiers because of a lack of snowfall. Students at Ingham Elementary School will get a couple extra days off next week after a water pipe burst in one of the classrooms. That's a mess. Here is the classroom where it happened. So much water leaked, it flowed into the school's hallways. Classes will be canceled in Ingham for Monday and Tuesday. Staff, faculty, students, and the Ingham community have come together to help try and clean up this mess. You can see that there. Because the water did damage books, supplies, and some other equipment, Rocking R Cleaning and Restoration will be donating about 10% of their revenue the next 3 weeks to the school. New tonight, the invasive mussel discovered in northwest Montana for the first time ever. This is file video from a story we did on the creature in Bear Lake. Tonight, the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks hopes to contain the mussel after it was discovered there earlier this month. Here's the concern. This teeny mussel, it can spread quickly, it clogs pipes, and it can obstruct beaches. We're going to head south now to Salt Lake City. The Salt Lake Area Restaurant Association is planning to hire a lobbyist. They're going to push back on the so-called Zion curtain. The curtain is a wall. It blocks customers from seeing a bartender who's prepping your drinks when you order them. The Zion curtain name refers to the teetotal guidance from the LDS Church. Roughly 43% of active Mormons in the Salt Lake City area are somewhat in favor of eliminating this curtain. And our final stop around the region will be Buell, which is outside of Twin Falls, and that is where 15 pigs were killed in a barn on Friday, a barn fire Friday. This is a picture from a Magic Valley newspaper. The pigs were mostly 40-pound wieners and were inside the barn or a nearby corral when the fire broke out. We don't know the cause of this fire. 700 dogs. That's right, 700 dogs are getting a new lease on life, and it's going to be right here in the Gem State. The dogs boarded 18 different planes in Los Angeles yesterday and today. They're making their way to several different states. The four-legged pets were saved by nonprofit Wings of Rescue. They were saved from overcrowded shelters around the LA area. There's a plane about to take off. The dogs being brought here to Idaho will be taken to the Kootenai shelter.
There is a shortage of dogs and sometimes even cats in other destinations. So what Wings of Rescue does is takes these pets that otherwise would not have seen tomorrow and bring them to new loving families in other territories.
Here's a sad statistic. About 3 million animals are euthanized annually in city and county shelters around the nation. An Idaho potato farmer is making it large on the big screen.
Hello, I'm an Idaho potato farmer, and I finally found our big Idaho potato truck. It's been touring the country telling folks about our heart-healthy Idaho potato.
Meet Mark. Mark's a farmer from Eagle, and he's featured in this year's big Idaho potato truck commercial. The commercial is airing on the Food Network, CNN, Headline News, Cooking Channels, and the History Channel. This is the 5th year for the commercials. Mark's really into this commercial and chasing that truck. They started airing last week. We all know smoke is bad for your lungs, right? It's no secret. So tonight there's new concern about the smoke from the Henry's Creek fire. We're going to explain why coming up. And it's time to talk turkey dangers a little bit later. The steps to stay safe when deep frying your Thanksgiving bird. But first, a fallen soldier's family disrespected on an airplane. Coming up, the hateful moment that left an already devastated family torn. But first, here's a look at your highs and lows tonight. New at 10, businesses and new construction in Jackson Hole, Wyoming will have to adhere to new fire codes. County officials signed off on 3 new sets of standards for next year. Buildings currently under construction won't be affected and will be grandfathered into the old standards. These new changes will go into effect January 1 and will bring local laws in line with state requirements. To a developing story now out of Elko, Nevada. 4 people are dead after a plane crashed Friday night. The plane was being used for a medical service flight. It went down in a parking lot northeast of the Elko airport. It's still unknown why it happened. One of the 4 victims was identified today as a paramedic with the Utah Tooele County Sheriff's Office. The National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration will be investigating. New tonight, the father of a soldier killed in Afghanistan says he was booed on an airplane. Stuart Perry's son died after he stumbled upon a IED, the suicide bomber, before the bomber could reach his target. The target that the bomber was going after was a soldier's 5K Veterans Day run. Perry says his son's death comes at a time military service is facing disrespect. He says his family was even booed on the flight to bring his son's body home.
And to hear the reaction of the flight being delayed because of a Gold Star family and the first class cabin booing that was really upsetting, and it made us cry some more.
Perry says that the flight did happen when the pilot announced that the flight was carrying the body of his son, the fallen soldier. It is that time of year. Millions of Americans will be deep frying turkey next week. It's also the same time of year when the news media tells you just how dangerous that can be. So tonight, here's that warning from Ben Kennedy.
This is what you don't want to happen on Thanksgiving Day. It's a deep fried delicacy that can be quite dangerous.
The issue with these hot oil propane deep fryers are They contain large quantities of oil, which gets very hot, hundreds of degrees. It can cause severe burns.
Broward Fire Rescue put on their yearly demonstration showing the dangers when turkeys are deep fried. It's what might happen if the turkey is frozen and lowered into hot oil. Best advice is fryers should be set up more than 10 feet away from your home and on a level surface. Make sure turkey is thawed and dry. And finally, keep an eye on the oil temperature.
Thanksgiving is the #1 day in the United States for residential fires. It's the most common day that we see house fires.
The National Fire Protection Agency says there are 3 times as many house fires on Thanksgiving than any other day of the year. Well, while we wish for snow, others are getting it. Still to come, we'll show you where and how much. But first, the Henry's Creek fire has long been put out, but tonight a concern about the effects the smoke could have on your lungs. Chris.
Well, thank goodness we're having a lot of clear air because we do have a series of storms headed our way, and some of them could be bringing some snow. I'll tell you which one has the best chances of bringing snow to everyone next.
If you live near the area of the Henry's Creek fire that burned this summer and are feeling sick lately, there's likely a pretty good reason for that. All of the smoke could have messed with your respiratory system. Doctors say breathing in smoke, as we all know, is not good for you. What you may not know is symptoms like coughing, sneezing, and what some may think are sinus problems may actually be a result of the smoke.
You know, our upper respiratory tract symptoms starting from our sinuses, nose, all the way down to the lung this is where usually our respiratory system starts. And unfortunately, all those fires that they can affect the breathing.
The doctor says smoke in general isn't a good thing anyways, whether it's coming from smoking, wildfires, or even just backyard burning. It is not the time of year to think wildfires. Instead, we should be thinking about snow. This is the scene in Minnesota. Several inches of snow has already fallen across the Plains states the last few days. The snow in some places so heavy it has uprooted trees and knocked out power to dozens. And so an Idaho Falls church wants to keep the community warm this winter. The World Mission Society Church of God will be holding a winter clothing drive from noon until 3 tomorrow. The church will be collecting hat, gloves, socks, and scarves outside of the Walmart on Utah. Free hot chocolate, tea, coffee, and cookies will be given to the donors. And those gloves and hats and scarves are going to be coming in your forecast because it's cold.
Yeah, well, especially the overnight hours. That's where we'll be seeing it the most. I mean, even right now in Pocatello, it's not a bad night so far, but still 47 degrees. It's starting to get chilly, calm and clear, so that is going to lead to those temperatures dropping. Now, with some of those high clouds that we saw earlier today, we're seeing a few spattering of snow flurries, much of it very, very light, but it's not going to stay light as we have a series of storms coming in. So starting tonight, midnight into tomorrow, initially, Central Mountains are getting all the action. In fact, most of it will happen in the Central Mountain region. We zoom out to the rest of the area, you see that surge of moisture coming in, about 7 o'clock in the evening, sticking on through Monday, and Monday is going to be another very wet day. So Central Mountains for most of Sunday, everyone else Sunday evening, and then far eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, Monday evening is when our best action happens. And then Tuesday, it clears out real quickly, and we're not going to stick with it for too long. Tonight's lows, tomorrow's highs, cool and mild. In fact, tomorrow is going to be a little bit above average. You do see the extended forecast, several storms popping up. So it's going to be a busy next week ahead, which is good because, you know, the ski resorts need it. Still, temperatures, not too bad at all. 20s and 40s for the upper plain. Chilly in West Yellowstone tonight, 19. That is typical for West Yellowstone, however, and 21:44 in Soda Springs. With, again, good chances in Southeast Highlands almost every single day. Now, you take a look, not this graphic, at our extended forecast for Idaho Falls. Sunday evening into Monday, best chance of showers break Tuesday. Wednesday, another round of showers. And the Wednesday storm, it'll start out as rain, but as soon as we get to past the storm, the showers behind the cold front will be snow showers. So could wake up to a bit of snow on your Thanksgiving day, but the day proper won't be bad, partly cloudy skies. So expect the snow to melt relatively quickly, at least if you have a yard that gets some sun exposure. Pocatello, similar story, 50s, 40s, with overnight lows going down into the 20s come the latter half of the work week. So you see, every time we get one of those storms, it does knock the temperature down a couple degrees, and so we go into the 30s in Jackson. How about a high of only 33 on Thanksgiving? So for those
It's
planning,
not freezing.
No, barely. I don't know if that really counts, though. But if you're going to do like a turkey bowl, football, it's going to be chilly, but the temperatures will be all right.
I was going to look this up because you said turkey bowl during our 5 o'clock show, and I don't have a clue what it is. So
yeah,
inform me.
It's when a bunch of family or friends get to play football on Thanksgiving. Classic American tradition.
Oh, I was thinking like bowling with a turkey, like throwing it across the yard or something.
No, it's football. It's football.
All right. Thanks, Chris, and we'll be right back with team coverage of Sports Night with Julia Cox and Jeff Landers.
And now, sports weather anytime, on demand. Log on to localnews8.com. And now, Sportsline with Jeff Landers.
The Skyline Grizzlies haven't even played for a state title game since 1998, and they haven't won since 1992. So for every varsity Grizzly player on this roster, tonight's state title game against Bishop Kelly was a first. The Grizz and Knights enter this game 11-0 on the season each, and Bishop Kelly has won 3 straight 4A state championships. We picked things up in the third quarter, Skyline trailing, and Bishop Kelly's Luke Burley goes 9 yards for the touchdown. Bishop Kelly led 41-21, and the Grizz sideline seemed deflated. But in the fourth quarter, Skyline storms back. Bridger Taylor airs it out for Carson Lott. That goes 67 yards for the score. The Grizz take their first lead of the game at 42-41 in the fourth. But BK would answer. Under 4 minutes to play, Jesse Cordum takes the pass from Bronson King 35 yards to the house. They get the 2-point conversion, and it's now 49-42, BK leading by a touchdown. Under a minute to go, Grizz with a shot. Taylor finds Law again, this time for a 20-yard touchdown. The flag was defensive pass interference, so the score stands. And that means the Grizz go for 2 and the lead. David Ames III takes the handoff, tosses it over the line to Carson Lott for the conversion, and the lead. Skyline takes a 50-49 advantage. So BK has one final shot, and the 51-yard field goal attempt falls short. Skyline wins 50-49. It's their first state title since 1992. Head coach Scott Berger, he gets the water bath.
I care about this school and I care about these kids, and they just, I'm proud. I'm very proud. I'm you know, besides words, I can't even explain how I feel in that, and you know, just how they battled back.
What a finish for the Skyline Grizzlies. A 2-point conversion. How fitting for two high-powered offenses to finish a game like that. Now, for the 3A state title game, we send it out to Middleton High School and Julia Cox.
The Shelley Russets will look to win their first 3A state title since back in 2013 against a Fruitland team that they're pretty familiar with. In fact, Shelley's last 2 state titles both came against the Grizzlies. One was in 2012 and then that one in 2013. But Fruitland is in some familiar territory. In fact, they played in every championship game except for one stemming back to 2006, where they won 2 state titles, one in 2006 and one in 2010. Shelley head coach Jake Monahan said that Fruitland is bigger, and boy was he right. Some of those kids are enormous. To the action, first half no score, and Brian Leckington finds Jake Ray in the end zone for the first score of the game. Extra kick makes it 7-0 Russets. To the second quarter, same score, and Fruitland answers on the quarterback keep as Cole Egerin takes it from the 1-yard line. The game is tied at 7. Later, less than 30 seconds left in the first half, and Egerin finds Josh Hengler, and he finds the end zone for the touchdown. Fruitland takes a 14-7 lead, and they go into the locker room at the half, leading 14-10. To the third quarter, it's 21-10 Fruitland at this point. Russets with the ball, and Leckington sweeps it out to Justin Jensen for the touchdown. 2-point conversion was good, so Shelley trails 21-18. To the fourth quarter, same score. Fruitland is punting the ball, but Shelley fumbles the football, and the Grizzlies are able to recover it. That will eventually lead to this. Jordan Eggers takes the handoff and goes right up the middle for the touchdown. Fruitland wins it 35-28.
We obviously played our butts off. The guys played super hard. That's a good football team in Fruitland. We know a lot about them. They know a lot about us. We have a ton of respect for them, their coaches, their players. But the bottom line is we just made too many mistakes tonight, put the ball on the ground too many times. It was not for a lack of effort. Love our team and the effort they played with. It was awesome.
So Fruitland breaks the streak, and they win for their first time since back in 2010. But congratulations to the Shelley Russets on a successful season. That's going to do it for sports. We'll be right back after this.
Local people, local news. You're watching Local News 8 at 10.
So before we go tonight, there's a new kind of candy cane on store shelves. I want you to take a look at the package. You can probably guess. Yes, pickle-flavored candy canes are now available. We posted this story on our Facebook page last night. The reaction was mixed. My favorite comment came from one grandma, though, saying she couldn't wait to give these to her grandkids, trick them into thinking it was something sweet, and then capturing their face. Fun fact about me, though, Chris Desmond.
Those poor children.
I love pickle juice and will buy pickles and throw the pickles away and just drink the juice. And my mom actually used to freeze the pickle juice so I could have pickle popsicles.
No.
What's going on in the weather?
I like pickles, but pickles should stay as pickles, and that should be the end of that story. Let's take a look at your forecast. There's Idaho Falls,
Off and on showers next couple days. Best chance of snow in the next 48 hours will be Monday evening. Even then, we're thinking maybe an inch, more like a dusting. And then another chilly storm Wednesday.
So cold I could freeze my pickles outside. We'll see you back here tomorrow.